All right, welcome back to another live episode of the relationship series. My name is Gina Spataro, and this is my brother Sam Spataro, rocking it in his new shirt. Love that shirt. Does that come in girl sizes or no?
Small, medium, large, extra large, kid size.
I would either take an extra large kids or small.
Well, maybe a small will fit.
Or small. I like it.
They're the same size as Crystal. She wears one.
Yeah, I have to
pretty good. Probably small.
Yeah. Yeah. Welcome back. It's been a little while.
Couple weeks, hasn't it?
Weeks, yeah. So yeah, for sure. How's life been with work and with family and summer? Well, not summer, but spring. Cool.
I think it's pretty much, been the same other than a few work opportunities. As you can see, I got this shirt made, and actually got a lot of them made. And I'm trying to think back now, like, why did I make so many? I just couldn't figure it out, right? And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna sell a whack of them, and then donate a certain percentage of the proceeds to Children's Mental Health Society.
I love that. That's a great contribution.
So I got to figure out a way, how to do that. And then, because I know a lot of people have been asking about getting them. So, I figured it'd be a way to, get that out there, and for those that might need it or enjoy it or like the logo, and also do some good at the same time. But work is good. I've had a few good opportunities come up. This week, I think I mentioned last time that we spoke. I don't even know, did I mention it on here about that challenge that I had with work? I think I did.
I think, yes, you mentioned.
I think I did. Anyway, so I had a client for years that I was working with, and all of a sudden, that relation just ended up suddenly, and, I had planned out most of my year of 2021 calendar business year to do the work, and basically, 6 months was just wiped right off with nothing. So it was a bit challenging, and there was a lot of uncertainty, and I just pounded the pavement, made some phone calls, some texting, follow-upping, and ended up landing a job. And then this week I landed another 4, had another great opportunity come my way that I mentioned to you that I'm just looking really, really good at. That I got to be honest, the opportunity is great, but the people that are involved are amazing. Like we're bang on with same values, same beliefs when it comes to work, family, all the crazy crap that's going on. So it's just nice to sit down and connect and not have to think twice about, what you're saying and how you're saying it. It's just, having a nice natural conversation of everything that you love to chat about. So pretty cool. And, just been, you spending some time in the backyard. It's been a tad cold the past 7 days.
Yeah.
It's warmed up this week, so that will be good.
Awesome.
Seeing some family, as always.
Yeah.
Because, us Italians, love to get together. It's in our nature.
It's very true.
And here we are tonight doing our live stream. And how is Gina? Maybe fill us in on, is your house done? What's going on there?
Well, the interior's done. It's all good and nice and fresh. I just did some painting and some touching up. So I just got my rental ready downstairs for my next person coming. So it's good. It's been very good. Putting a lot of things in motion with this. Took your advice about, the investment with my house, and definitely put that in plan. I just got the papers today to initiate that. So.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I put it all in the works. So that's ready to go. Other than that, everything's been great. Weather's been great. Enjoying honestly, I'm obsessed with my walks during the day. Like, I don't know. I honestly get now why people walk like 2-3 times a day. Like, it's so euphoric. So euphoric. Like, I love it. Except for this morning when a caterpillar flew into my face, and I didn't like that very much. But anyway, other than that, it's been great. All right. So tonight's topic is, and this is kind of like an off-the-cuff topic here, but with a lot of rhythm in it, is the pandemic over? because here in Ontario, things are looking bright and shiny right now.
They are?
Well, I mean, numbers aren't up and people are, sensing some hope and people are getting vaccinated, which they're assuming that life will kind of go back to normal, which my normal is last January, I would say, right? Or 2 Januaries ago. So, but what are your thoughts? Do you think that the pandemic is over? I personally don't. I think we are in for another treat. And I think this is just the calm before the storm. So, but that's just my thought. What do you think? Because I know you are very good at your predictions and foreseeing things, and you kind of mentioned this the last time, right? So where do you see this heading?
Well, it's pretty simple. I think if you're not swayed one way or the other, left or right, and you can see clearly, it's very easy, I think, to create a general model of what's in store for the future. And it's always based around the character that's running the script and everything that trickles down beyond that.
Right.
Right. So, if we can go back 6 months to a year ago when we first started talking about this, I think we had mentioned a few things that, what our thoughts and views were on where we were headed and what that might have looked like. And, it's kind of, I honestly don't think it's oddly strange that we're here.
Mm-hmm.
If there was different people that maybe were running things, I'm going to say here, like, within our country in Canada and our provinces, then yeah, then I could maybe have had a different forecast, maybe with a lot more optimism. But it was pretty easy to see where we're headed based around the mindset of, the people that are in power here, right? And so, looking forward, where are we headed? I think that model is pretty easy to predict. I mean, all you really have to do is cultivate all the, if you talk about filtering, right? All you got to do is just take a collaboration of all of the mainstream media outlets like New York Times, the Toronto Star, whatever it is, right? Facebook, wherever. And all you got to do is just take all the headlines throughout a week or a month, and you can kind of piece things all together to kind of see where we're headed based on what the narrative is. And then also what the narrative is coming from your state, or in our case, our province. And then what comes from the top. For us, it's a prime minister. For you, it might be a president. And so, it's easy to predict what your work or business life will look like. It's easy to predict what is probably likely going to happen with your school and your children. It's easy to predict what will happen within your family, what you will be allowed to do, what you won't be allowed to do as well. And so I think you just have to be a realist, and I really accounted for the fact that, I guess in some way or another, I am a libertarian, I'm a contrarian, I'm kind of a political atheist. I'm not swayed one way or another. I just, I follow with my heart, and when my heart connects with something, it really, like in anything in life, people always say, trust your intuition, right? There's no fear guiding your intuition. And then your mind starts creeping in with that, reptilian side where it's throwing out all the fears and, the things that could go wrong and the worries, right? So, when you can see clearly and you're guided from your intuition and you're not hopeful, right? Having hope is the beggar. It doesn't necessarily mean it's not going to happen. You just maybe create these lies within your own head of the direction of where you're going, whether it's in your relationship or your business, your own personal life, your development, money, finances, whatever it might be. And so, here we are, we're in June now, right? In Ontario. And, there was the narrative over the past couple of weeks about maybe opening the schools, right? We heard it. I knew they weren't right from the get-go. My wife I was like, I actually was meditating on it, that I hope that they open the schools for my wife's sake and the kids' sake to go back even for 3 weeks or 4 weeks. And I just thought, You selfish pricks. You know very well these things aren't going to open up. From the get-go, okay, sick kids and all these other facility or hospitals and specialization in kids' health, mental health, we're saying kids are better off in school than not. And there is a laundry list of reasons why they should be rather than not, based on, the implications of COVID and what negative things that could come from that. It didn't happen. And there was no way it was going to happen now. But they went on there, making it look like they were going to try to work to make it happen. The doctors were saying, yes, they should. And what did they deliver today?
Yeah.
Closed until September.
Yeah.
So the question is, why do you even come on there and give false promises and false hope and deliver messages that aren't truthful, aren't real, aren't going to happen? So I think it's very important today, to look back in history and look at people in life, no matter who they are, what they've done, whether it's political or within your own family. And in times of challenge, in times when there's an array of obstacles, who do they become? What do they say? How do they deliver? And, what is their success? Is it good? Is it bad? And I think, based on history, there's been enough people in human history that have been deceitful and have lied and have hurt people purposely, right? While making it seem like they're doing good at the same time. So I just want to also disclose that, everybody should think for themselves.
Yeah.
Everyone should have their own opinions and disagree with me fully on everything that I'm saying. But at the same time, too, when you are responsible for children, you have a home, you've got a business, you've got colleagues, you've got finances, you've got things to pay. You really have to stop sometimes and pull yourself out of the box and see things for how they really are, not how you wish they were or are going to be.
Right.
So based on that premise, I think that, it's very shameful of where we are today. People should be ashamed of themselves that are leading the task force and, in response for where we are today with COVID and the COVID measures, the lack of success, the lack of progression, the lack of clarity, the lack of truth. It is utter pity. It's disgusting that it's still happening today. And I think we need to touch on a few things here. And like I said, these are our thoughts and opinions. Think for yourself. We're not saying we're, right or wrong. These are just our own personal, or at least my own personal opinions. And I just thought I would share them with you because there are some people in the beginning that shared them with me on some media outlets that were kind of going against the narrative. And what they were saying ended up being a lot more truthful and than anything that, who we look up to and are the ones that should be delivering us the right messages. And there's been enough gaslighting, enough sociopathic leadership, narcissism. Like it's off the charts. You look at, I look at, someone who I never even knew existed before, Governor DeSantis, the person that's running Florida, Christine Noem, who's the governor of Dakota, and I don't really know who the person is in Texas, but they've had completely different outcomes than pretty much the majority of the world. They never shut down. They kept schools open. They seem to have kept COVID at bay. They had their own medical and science directors that they were taking advice from, other than just one or two people that we've been seeing on TV who become celebrities from this, because prior to this, you didn't even know who they were. Right. And they've had completely different outcomes. So for me, you can only push something so long and try to convince me of something until I call bullshit. What people do and then what they say, and then what comes from the decisions that they make. At some point you gotta call bullshit and say, we need to demand some change. We need to demand some truth and some real answers about how we're going to get the hell out of this.
Yeah.
Because honestly, based on where we are today, we're a year and 4 months. I was told it was only supposed to take 2 weeks a year and 4 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
Wear a mask, don't wear a mask, everything's okay, it's not okay, we're going to open up, we're not going to go up, we got it under control, now there's this variant, there's that variant, now we got it under control, now there's this new variant that's mutating with this variant. Right?
Yeah, and that's the problem, right? So I feel like they give us a list, they give us an inch, right? But then they take a mile.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like they give us this glimmer of hope, like in the beginning too, where it's like, okay, we're going to shut down for 2 weeks, see how it goes. We'll reopen things. And then it's like, okay, we're going to take another month and then we'll reopen things. And then now it's been like since has it been since April? I think it's been since the end of April that they have completely shut everything down, like people's livelihoods again. So I don't know what is going to be taken next, but I don't think it's the end. I don't think this is the end. I don't think, personally, I don't think the vaccine is the be all end all. I'm sure it will have some benefits, but in the news, they're already talking about this mutant variant that will probably enter Ontario shortly. And it's like, here we go around the merry-go-round. Again, you give people this glimmer of hope that they're doing good. And then even the medical professionals are now like, just wait, because this is what might be in store. And it's like, how about you, like you said, just be real. Like, is it going to happen? Is this something that we are going to live with for the rest of our lives? And kind of like dodging bullets left, right, and center, creating new vaccines for new variants every 6 months, or I don't know. But I think you're right when it's true, when people are being, I don't want to say scrutinized, but they're definitely being looked down upon for making choices for themselves, like educated choices, and everyone does what they want and how they see fit for their lives. But I definitely feel as though it's dividing people more and more and more with their free choice, if that makes sense. It's
well,
not
sure, exactly. But
creating a connectivity, it's creating a divide.
Yeah. But the question is, how, who, and what is creating this divide?
Yeah.
Tell
How,
me.
who, and what?
How did one man, after Germany experienced a Great Depression and hyperinflation, come in and promise a Western civilized country that he had the way out of a disaster? And for years, yeah, it was looking good. But we know what happened there.
Yeah.
But the question is, how did he do that? The same way it's happening today with this.
Yeah.
Media.
Fear.
Media. Yeah. Think about this. I want people to put in a context. Okay? Think about this. You're a kid. Okay? Mm-hmm. And you're watching a Coca-Cola commercial. Okay? And you're getting swayed and pulled and subdued and romanticized and pulled and sucked in to want to go at this red can of pop that is so horribly bad for you. And then it's Fruit Loop commercial.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's something else. And then it's something else. And then guess what? This unhealthy product that is so bad for you, you're consuming. And so is everybody around you.
Yeah.
How does that happen? How is it that on a TV program, on a TV channel, someone could allow someone to sell a product that is harmful for you and your health? Tell me a benefit to drinking Coca-Cola.
There is.
Tell me one benefit to eating Fruit Loops.
No. One
benefit to eating Mr. Noodles.
Yeah.
One benefit to eating Harvey's, McDonald's, Burger King. One benefit to drinking alcohol.
There would have been
one benefit to smoking a cigarette, and there was numerous commercials growing up as a kid.
Yeah.
So how does this happen? How is it, okay, that is allowed to be in front of children and teenagers and adults? And something that is so bad for you is in your face 4 to 8 times a day to condition you to believe that you'll be romanticized if you just go to that store and get it. Why is it that it's the first thing that you see? It's the first thing that you notice. It's the first thing that catches your eye, your attention, your heart, your mind, everything. Because if it's in your face long enough and loud enough, eventually you will believe that it's good for you.
Yeah.
Because everybody else is doing it. And so what does that have to do with today? It's the same thing that's happening today, but it is, the virus. It's the vaccine. It's if you get it. It's if you don't get it. There's always a narrative, and it's pushed over and over and over again on Facebook, on TikTok, on YouTube, on Instagram, on the Toronto Star, on the New York Times. It's everywhere because it's a brainwashing technique. The more and more and more something's in your face, eventually you will believe it. Or you'll be conditioned to believe it, or you'll be manipulated into believing it. Right? So what does that have to do with what we're talking about? As far as I understand, we don't live in a communist or a socialist country where you're free to think and speak and do as you please to your body and to yourself, whatever it is. Right? There's certain things that you're able to keep disclosed, but it seems like everything has changed over the past year. Everything and everybody's business is in everybody's face. What you do or what you don't want to do is either going to be right or it's going to be shamed. Right? When it comes to COVID and the coronavirus, yeah, it's real and it's around and it's shameful, and my heart and my compassion, and I have so much empathy to anybody and everyone who has been hurt by it. My heart and my compassion goes out to those who are fearful of, we have a cousin who made a post on Facebook. She's, put out a post saying, everyone needs to get their shot, blah, 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 blah. And underneath it, she said, I have a son, he's got heart condition, and people are worried, because of the effects that this could have, if you catch it. And, you give it to somebody else. So I get it. I totally understand. Right? But why do we need to have so much more compassion and empathy to COVID and the coronavirus than secondhand smoke? I've worked for years with people who were blowing smoke in my face or through the wind or around family or whatever. Why isn't there constant media about that? Mm-hmm. Why not? How many people die every year from smoking? Lung cancer, lung failure. I don't know. Is it not significant?
Yeah.
Why isn't that in our faces every day, all the time? Pretty much everybody you see or someone within your family smokes. Why isn't that in our faces all the time? You shouldn't smoke. This is having detrimental effects on your children, your kids. Everybody should be against it. You shouldn't allow them in your house. They shouldn't be allowed to be in public. Why isn't that happening? There's no answer for it. Right? In the beginning, I was shitting my pants about, what was going on in the world and out of China. And, and I remember, there was a family function at that time, there was no closures or any restrictions. And I decided to opt out based on some information that I collected, right? And I shared with you guys, and everyone decided to do their own thing. But, and here we are today with a completely different outcome. First we are on the media listening to these people that are supposed to be the best, supposed to be specialists, supposed to know everything. And some guy that was watching on YouTube was right and they were all wrong. But, they were saying, no, you can keep doing this. You can do this. Okay, we're following, we're believing. And then they're saying to do the opposite. We've been following and believing them. And then it's back and forth with this and that. And it's wear a mask, don't wear a mask, wear 2 masks, go get your vaccine, wear a mask, don't go here, don't go there, don't talk. Now there's a variant, do this, we're going to open up, now we're going to close back down again. And now what is it? What's the talk in Ontario? We're talking about opening up. We're going to go to stage 1 if there's X amount of people vaccinated, stage 2, stage 3 if a certain amount of people are vaccinated, and you'll have these types of freedoms. And now on the news headlines, there's new variants.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that mean exactly? For me, this hasn't been a COVID war. People talk about it a COVID war. This has been a war on our minds. This has been a gaslighting war. This has been a sociopath war, a narcissistic war. This is what it has been. Because out of the hundreds of people that have been on TV, there's only 2 or 3 that I can honestly say that I would trust my children with. Because everything that they've done and said, they've lived, they've done, and they kind of re-navigate as they're going through it and changing, things to try to make things work based on the science, based on the data. No fear tactics, no fear mongering, none of that crap. All logic, all truth, all honesty, all integrity. But these pigs, I'm going to call them pigs because that's what they are, understand how humans work. And I mean in here. Okay? The majority of our brain focuses on things that we fear. Our brains naturally have a 70% negative bias, so we're always attracted to things that we're afraid of and trying to steer away from things that will harm us and our families. That's why, they have the headlines. That's why they keep coming out, talking about the things they do with the keywords and this and that, right? But at the end of the day, the reality is, we talk about COVID and based on some of the data and science from a channel that I watch, Dr. Chris Martenson on Peak Prosperity, he read last week, thank God he's back. He's been off for 4 months because he was about to get deplatformed on YouTube. So he figured out an intelligent way to navigate without doing that. So thank you for coming back. But he said there was a study about, contracting COVID outside. And it was like a 1% chance, right? So if they have that data and they know that there are certain people that have comorbidities or are old or might have some, some certain health challenges, then why not gear the safety towards them?
Yeah.
And keep things open. And try to make certain measurement things that we can do so that we can keep flowing, keep going. And as we're going, we can learn and make some little changes along the way, right? That will have a less negative impact on people's family lives, financial lives, mental health, and everything. Because one thing I could assure you from what I understand from all the data, there's been more harm by everything else than what COVID has done to people. Based on the data, based on the science as of today.
That makes sense.
Okay, so what I'm saying is, I don't have the answers. These are just my thoughts and opinions, and I'm just a guy here in Ontario talking, outside of this house. But I have a moral responsibility to do what's right for my kids, for my family, and not get swayed in because it's the narrative. Because that's what everybody else is doing and what everybody else will do. And what everybody else will say to those people who don't decide to, follow what everyone else is doing. So that's what I'm preparing myself for. I'm preparing myself for the weeds in the future and how to best pull them out. Anybody that is just going along right now, thinking that everything's just going to be hunky-dory in 6 months to a year from now, like, you need to give your head a shake. It's not going to happen. Like, we are going to, if you haven't seen what happened, politically in the U.S. with whether you're Republican or Democrat and what disaster went on over there, I could tell you I know what's going to happen because personally I got attacked in the beginning from this when I was sharing information on Facebook from Dr. Chris Martenson from Peak Prosperity when he was collecting some data that was different from the data that, we were being given and about saying some stuff about masks and, what he's saying is you should wear one. And I got shit shamed and ripped a left nut and a right nut about how I'm sending disinformation and I could be killing people and endanger people's lives by putting that out there. I shouldn't be doing that. Those masks need to be for healthcare workers. And then 2 days later, the CDC in Canada comes out and say they now recommend you wear masks. Here's one thing I've learned in life. I don't ever want to be right.
Mm-hmm.
That's just ego. But what I do want to do is I want to learn to do the right thing. And
Right.
the only way you can do that is if you're not swayed one way or the other. And you can obviously change along the way if you're wrong. Right? So, you know, here we are today. You know, I think it's important that one, you know, I see the challenges going ahead, and there's a few challenges that I see. One, I think within a household, there's going to be many challenges. You know, maybe some people have experienced it already. Maybe one spouse is for the vaccine, maybe one isn't.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe one is for getting their kids vaccinated, and maybe one isn't. Right? Maybe you work for a company, and you're no longer going to be able to work unless you get vaccinated. Maybe you have a company and you don't want to force people to do that. You want to give people the option whether they do or don't. But now you might not be able to operate your business because you're not abiding by what the regulations and rules will be at that time.
Right.
I think there's going to be challenges and obstacles with our freedoms and our civil liberties coming very soon, a month, a couple of days, a week, maybe 6 months, a year down the road. You can already see it. People who have the vaccine are going to have different freedoms apparently than those that don't. So does that mean your kids won't be able to go to school? Does that mean you won't be able to go into public places where your kids not be able to play on sports teams? Will you maybe not be able to conduct your business?
Yeah.
Right? That is obviously a major challenge. Maybe you won't be able to fly or leave the country. You know? But, you know, in the same time, you know, while I think that, you know, I mean, I've been vaccinated, you know, before. My kids have been vaccinated. There's certain ones that we gave them, there's certain ones that they don't. But I don't even take the flu shot. Like when I get sick, like I was mentioning before, I think like when I get sick, 2-3 years ago was the first time I had a fever, the chills and everything, like in like 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't take anything. I took vitamin C, I took zinc, I took fish oil, I took vitamin D. And I just fought it off naturally. Yeah, did I want to take something because I could feel my heart pounding out of my chest or out of my heart pounding out of my head? And, you know, and actually I remember that day because we were at Drysdale's getting Christmas trees.
Okay.
And I was freezing and I was sick and I had a fever and I was just sucking it up. I even took a cold shower and was doing all kinds of unorthodox things. And it just went away on its own.
Yeah.
That's my belief about how I want to fight off a cold or a flu or virus. And if I was to get COVID, I would want to, you know, do the things that, you know, I think are best for me if I get it. Yeah. And God forbid, and knock on wood, I hope that, you know, I never get it. But if I did, I hope that I would never get it to the extent that some of these people do and that I'm healthy enough to fight it off. But that's my right to decide that. You know, people say, you know, you're putting, you know, all these healthcare workers under strain and, you know, we need to do it. Well, what about people that smoke? Why is smoking still legal? Mm-hmm. Why is alcohol still legal? There's people that become alcoholics from it and have kidney and liver failure. They have to go to the hospitals and have operations, or people are in hospitals because of lung cancer and are dying. Why is that allowed? Why isn't that banned and bashed? But it's still allowed to happen. 100%. They're still allowed to smoke. 100%. They're still allowed to participate in society, even though they're not doing any good.
Yeah.
But we all accept it and embrace it. So the question is, what is this about? We know that, you know, we know that the majority of the people are going to be fine. Based on the science, based on the data. Right? If I'm wrong, please in the comments section, let us know. But based on that alone, you know, I think the narrative should be, if you want to take this, then you go ahead and take it. That's your right. But if you don't, here are the things, alternative things that we would recommend, right? So that if you did get it or you didn't, that will strengthen your immune system and keep you healthy so that we don't put more strain on the healthcare system. But the healthcare system has always been under strain from, think about all the shit that you can fucking buy in the goddamn stores. Everything's got sugar, nicotine in it. Like, come on. Like, you got to be a moron, really, in today's day and age to not realize, you know, like, what is this really about then? If we're so worried about health and the hospitals and all this stuff, then just ban everything that's bad.
Yeah.
Why not just ban everything that's bad and everything will be so much better? People will be healthier. There will be no diabetes, so you can say goodbye to a bunch of those pills that you used to pop that you won't need anymore. Heart pills probably will be gone because, people will start running, cycling, jogging, eating healthy, drinking water, orange juice, vitamins. So what is this about? What is this really about? And I can tell you what it's about.
What's it about?
Whether you're two people running a family, there's always a narrative, there's always a purpose, there's always a mission to something you're trying to accomplish. And a lot of the times it's good. But there are a rare amount of families and people who are running them that do bad.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And we hear about it all the time, right? For anyone to trust politicians and people who are paid by the government and big pharma companies and anyone and everyone else, you have to be a complete moron to think that they're not swayed to deliver certain messages.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Okay? I mean, what is this really about? Bill Gates popped out from nowhere. Like, he was a tech giant, now professional, virus man, who suddenly just disappeared because his wife left him and it came out that he was friends with a pedophile.
Mm.
Where's he been since then? He's gone. And then there's Dr. Fauci, right? Who now apparently has had ties to Wuhan lab and gave money to them.
Mm.
You'll never get the truth out of a sociopath, ever. At least come on the TV and say, you know what? I screwed up. I made a mistake. I lied. If it is true, maybe it isn't true. Maybe there's other media outlets that are throwing out this information that is false too, right? That's why you got to think for yourself and believe what you want to believe. But if it is true, at least come on and apologize. Be a man, be a lady, be whatever it is you want to be, but be a human and realize that you are imperfect and say, you know what? Yes, we did make mistakes. Here's where we're going. Here's why. Here's where we think we can get out of this.
Yeah.
And if we just seen an ounce of anything that was truthful and we could progressively get a little bit better, awesome, hats off to them. But it's been a complete and utter disaster, and it would continue to be, in my opinion, for this very same reason of the people that are in power and running things. So I just found out that, what's his name, Jenner, that's now become woman.
Caitlyn
Jenner's running for governor of California. If Caitlyn Jenner was running for Prime Minister of Canada or, what do you call Doug Ford, Premier of our province, Gina, I would come on her and say, people of Ontario, get ready. Things are about to get better.
Really?
I would say things are, you can roll up your sleeves and put a smile on your face because we are about to get out of this. There's going to be hope. You can have faith. And you can rest assured that this man, woman, is going to show us the way out of this. I think everybody needs to take the time to watch her ad on running for governor on YouTube or TikTok. It's tremendously inspiring.
Really?
It's unreal. Yeah, she says, I'm not swayed left or right. I will work with Democrats. I will work with Republicans. I just want to keep and rebuild the American dream. This is what the American dream is about. And he starts spewing off A, B, C, D, E, and F. And I'm just like, okay, if he or she came on TV, I would look at my kids right in the eye and say, guys, we are going to get out of this.
Interesting.
If the governor of Florida was running for president or prime minister or premier, I would say to my kids and to you, we are going to get out of this. Things are going to get better. But there comes a time when you look over a year of everything that the people that have been feeding us information of what they said and what they have done and where we are, it is utterly shameful.
Mm.
We are not any further ahead. We are further behind today than when we started. A leader brings light to the end of the tunnel, not darkness.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people
And
feel.
the thing that they're pushing that is the light is the vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the darkness, in my opinion. And the reason for that is because they're pushing that narrative. Look at what they're doing right now, Gina. Little kids can go and get the vaccine, and they have police out front. So, and correct me if I'm wrong, so no one can come in and intervene, or if parents even want to come in and stop them, that they can't.
Yeah.
But hey, come get some ice cream.
I know.
Mayor DeBlasio from New York going on TV and telling people to go get their vaccine and saying, hey, and by the way, if you go today, you can have these French fries and this, and he's eating the French fries. Oh, these are so good. And and you also get a hamburger. It's a little bit too early to eat this hamburger. It's okay. Oh my God. So come on, you guys, go roll up your sleeve, go get it. You get a free hamburger. The governor of New York. Okay, guys, you're gonna go to the football game, this baseball game. We're gonna have a thing, COVID vaccine thing set up outside. If you get it, you can win free tickets, and they're doing lotteries. You have to manipulate people really to do this?
Yeah, that's what it is.
I'm telling you, I thought the way they handled things, a few people like are just utterly like pitiful, but this is just pure disgusting. Like, just goes to show you the character of these people that are doing these things.
Yeah.
Manipulative. It's like, you know what it's like? It's like a man driving his car in front of your house and going to your kids, hey, you want to come over here and get some candy?
Yeah.
That's who they are. They're shameful, they're pitiful, and they should be disgusted with themselves. And anyone who is even like considering listening to these people, like, needs some help. Like, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out they're full of shit.
Well, when you have to persuade children like that, that's a big red flag for sure.
Yeah. And now the narrative here, like, you're hearing it all over. You guys got to do your part. You got to go get this. Blah, blah, blah. Soon it's going to be your fault because things aren't going to go back to normal. It's going to be the people like you and me who don't want to get it or choosing alternative health measure. Like, if this was like the Ebola virus, the Black Plague, and everyone around you was dropping down dead or getting sick, and I mean, there would be no question in my heart to do something about it. And at least try, knowing what the consequences could be. But the consequences, in my opinion, are not dire enough to do something that is experimental, and there's not enough research to do it. And we should have that choice to wait or to not do it. In the meantime, to just do things to keep ourselves healthy.
Yeah.
But you can see the narrative is already changing.
Yeah.
Right? It already is. And they're going to use people that are watching to do their dirty work, just like they have with people on my Facebook shaming me about the mask thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't even my information. I was just sharing something. I even specifically said that.
For the goodness of the people, right? It wasn't
the goodness of my heart. There was no crime, but guess what? Guess what? When the narrative on every social media platform coming from the people that were delivering the messages are saying, right, we need to save them for healthcare workers, it's a crime that you shouldn't, and then guess what? Were they on there on my Facebook page?
Yeah.
No. And guess what? Hitler didn't do all the stuff that he did. People like you and me did his dirty job.
Yeah.
Right? Because and here's one of his famous quotes. If you tell a lie big enough, loud enough, and long enough, eventually, I bet you I can convince a nation. And guess how it gets delivered? Through this.
Yeah.
There you go. So I think moving forward, so the question is, how do you become your own hero? How do you navigate this? This is the relationship series. You know, we're discussing matters of the heart and mind. How do you navigate these uncertain times? You know, and I think it's really important that you stay true to the things that you value the most. I mean, if you truly believe that, you know, the vaccine is the way, then by all means, you have my support to go and do that if that's what you want to do. 1,100%. But if I choose not to, I think it should be very clear from the people that are delivering the messages to let people know that it is our God-given right also not to do it, because these are our bodies.
Right.
And we have the choice. As far as I knew and understand, living in a free democratic society, the last time I checked, living in Canada of all places, to do what I want to my body. I mean, people are allowed to smoke if they want. People are allowed to go buy pot now if they want.
Mm-hmm.
People are allowed to go buy alcohol if they want, which we know all those three things are good for you. Why can I not have the choice to not want to take a vaccine and be okay with it? And everyone else be okay with it, because everyone else is okay with everyone else doing what they're doing that isn't good for them, or maybe for society, or the healthcare system, or for people, or for the businesses, or for their families, and for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I think, you know, moving forward, if I'm controlling the narrative, here's my message to the people. We're in challenging times, and I want you to rest assured that we're doing everything and anything to make things better. We have the vaccine. There's lots of good study to back it in science. It's saying that it's going to work and it's going to help us get through this. Rest assured, we are doing everything to keep you safe, and we will give you all the information as it comes out for your safety, good and the not so good, so you are conscious and aware to make your own choice. For those of the people that are within your own country who decide not to take the vaccine, we support you and we respect you. And I also want everybody to know that does decide to take it, to support them also. This, as we talk about, we're in this together.
Right.
We are in this together despite what people choose to do.
Right.
And if you aren't going to take it, there are some things that you can do other than that that can boost your immune system, that can keep you healthy. And please try to do your best to do so. You know, because the last thing we want is for you to not do that. And, you know, you could have taken the vaccine and it could have helped you and saved a loved one. And I don't want to be morally responsible for that. Not
Right.
in my conscience, not in my heart, not while I'm with my family and my children. So please, do your part. Support one another. Love one another. Don't judge one another. Remember, guys, we live in a free, democratic country. You have the right to speak, think, and be who you want. People have died in wars and have given up their lives for you and your freedom. Do not take it for granted. This is a time to bring us together, not a time to divide us. This is a time to learn to respect one another for their differences of how they want to live and think and be. So, as humanity evolves since we've been on this earth, we need to focus on being the best that we can be. And that's using your heart and your mind to guide you.
Yeah.
Guide yourself with empathy, with gratitude, with love, with compassion, with courage. And do whatever it takes to keep you and your family healthy and safe as we navigate this together. Rest assured, you can trust that I will do everything and anything to get us out of this. Thank you.
Vote for Sam for Prime Minister.
You know, it's just, I'm just so disgusted. You know, I'm not perfect, and I've made a ton of mistakes that I'm not proud of. And you know what? I want to be hopeful and think that they really are doing their best, and they're not persuaded to, you know, say or do certain things. But I really am finding a hard time to believe that.
Mm.
You know, if we look at history, there's been enough collusion. There's been enough, like, just shady things that have gone on in politics since we can remember. And who's to say it's not happening right now?
Right.
I think truly, you know, we all would come to the consensus that there's no way how that we could even think that if things were done different, and they're being differently done today. From everything that they say to everything that they do, how they deliver things. Like, come on. Our premier 2 months ago was trying to give our police orders to do things that were unlawful and went against our Constitution. And thank God they banded together and decided not to do that.
Right.
But what if they did?
Mm-hmm.
What would be the next step? So my question is, what is this really about? I mean, is it about getting us out of there and creating freedom once again, or is this about, pushing on some more control and to never get us out of this and just to wear us down mentally and spiritually, that we give into what? What is it exactly?
Yeah.
Is it the vaccine? Is it a new way of living? Is it a new society? Is it a new life? Is it a new way we need to think and be? Like, what is it? Just come out and say it. Because then at least that way we might have the opportunity and the choice to say, you know what? This isn't for me.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's time to leave. Maybe it's time to sell everything and pack it in. Just like our family did. Just like some people did when, they were putting ABC together when, Hitler was in power and started throwing out little things that he was doing, like taking religion out, banning guns, saying, starting the shaming tactics about Jewish people and how they were bad. And then society started, doing everything that, he was talking about over and over and over and over again until they just believed it. So I think the real question here is, and the thing you need to do to become your own hero is, you need to stand for what you think is right and true for you, your family, your children, and through the grace of God, that these people's minds and hearts finally get enlightened and really get us out of this and just show us the way. So so I think ending on that note, I think it's really a good time to start having a conversation in a relationship and with your children about, are you both going to take the vaccine? Do you have disagreements? What's that going to look like? How do you, go about that without having any conflict, where you can still be empowered and respect one another's opinions, where it doesn't divide you? And then you got to have that conversation about your kids. Are they going to, are they not going to? What if in the future they're not allowed to go to school because of it? Now, this is just talk. Mm-hmm. There are things right now in some college universities in Guelph or London where they're not allowing you to stay on residence unless you're vaccinated.
Right.
So what's the next step? So you have to remember, it's like people who go into war who are generals. They don't just start walking out saying, okay, here's where we're going. They have plans, right? Like people that go to fight wars, they sit down with all the generals and the majors and they have a plan of attack and they map it out what they're going to try to do before it happens. So here we are. We're in the middle of a COVID war. We're in the middle of lockdowns. We're in the middle of all these uncertainties, the things that could and could not happen. Well, what if these things do happen? Mm-hmm. You need to sit down as a family and have these conversations about how it will impact you guys if you do or don't. What does that look like? How do you stay strengthened from it? What about your kids? Are they, aren't they? What happens if schools don't allow them to go back? What will that look like? Who will be staying home? Who will be working? Do you need to move? Right? You have to, how do we prepare for that mentally, spiritually? What are things that we can do? Right? It's just, it's a real shame in today's day and age, with the evolution of mankind, that we are here in this world because of a certain type of person that still exists. So it's really shameful in my opinion, and like I said, hey, I could be completely wrong about all of this. And you know what? I hope to God I'll be the first one to come on here and tap out and said, I was wrong and pathetic for me to even to think all these things. And I'll be the first one to come on here and apologize. Right? But like I said, think for yourself. And this is just what I'm thinking. And trying to figure out how to navigate the future. Hey, you know what? I followed Chris Martin's advice when this first started going on and we first started hearing about this. And once we started actually getting the information here and it's starting to be delivered, while everyone else was out panicking, going to the banks, getting groceries, I was going for hikes with my kids in the forest because we already had our food. We already had all the things that someone else, that I trust, was kind of telling me some strategies on what to do.
Yeah.
So the question is, what strategies are you going to take? What strategies are you going to do moving forward? And who are you going to believe and not believe? Find someone you are going to believe, no matter who it is, and just figure out a way where you're going to navigate it to make it the most empowering and best life. Because God, we just wasted a year and 4 months of our lives. Like, how much longer is this going to take? I personally think we're another year, 2 years.
Wow.
My opinion, I could be wrong. Tomorrow we could be opening up and we could forget about this. And it looks like in some states in the U.S. and other places in the world, like it doesn't even look like COVID exists.
Yeah.
Right. But I definitely think in wrapping, you need to have these conversations, because if you don't and you're in a relationship, it's going to be do or die.
Yeah.
You're either going to unite and move on the same path together, or it's going to divide you, and you can get separated, divorced, and the strain it's going to put on the kids. So just think like it will happen, and look what that plan's going to look like. And if it doesn't happen, well, you know what, then no harm done. But if it did, you have a plan in place to be least swayed to go down a negative path, right? That's all this is about. I'm glad we talked. It was kind of off the cuff and talking about this. And there might have been some things that I said tonight that aren't okay with YouTube's policy regulations, and I apologize for that. I don't know what they all are, and I'm sure if there's a red flag, they'll let us know. And there's no pun or harm intended. And nor am I anyone that anybody should listen to. These are just two human beings talking about our thoughts and opinions on things, just like, the people in the beginning were.
Oh, do we lose them? I think we lost them. And on that note, this is the relationship series. Remember to be mindful of the things that you are ingesting in your mind, body, and soul. You have a mind for a reason. Think outside the box, and whatever works for you and may not work for the other person. Have respect for both sides. So on that note, this is the relationship series, and we will see you again soon. Ciao for now.